My name's Mike Reynolds. I farm here in central Kentucky, here in Campbellsville. I farm roughly 1,800 acres, corn, wheat, and beans. I do custom spraying some, and we do a lot of nitrogen. We drop a lot of nitrogen on in our operation. That's how we do all our corn and our wheat. We stream nitrogen on in the wheat stuff. And we're 100% no-till, have been for years. And we have, as you can see here in some of the background, we grain farm a lot of rolling ground. We don't have hardly any level ground. So if you worked our ground, it'd wash away with you and you lose all your topsoil, and it wouldn't be long, your ground wouldn't be productive at all. We probably roughly have 1,500 acres of corn. And usually that amount of corn, we'll spray it probably once over early and then half of it back over the top. But then we come back in and we drop nitrogen over top of it. Soybeans, we'll generally spray them 3 times. In our wheat operation, it'll get at least 4 times spraying. And then on top of that 4 times spraying, we'll split our nitrogen application, which is 2 more. So the wheat gets 6 trips in a season. Our double crop beans that come in behind our wheat usually gets 2 sprayings. It'll be probably 6,000 to 7,000 acres. We have terraces, we have drop tiles we put in, we have waterways. We use about everything you can use. My sprayer is the number 2 piece of equipment on my farm, because my planer's number 1 on my farm, because that's where it starts. But the sprayer's number 2 because it can cost you. Your chemical's so expensive anymore. You want to do as good a job with putting it out there as you can, and time efficiencies. I was looking at a John Deere. This salesman, he got on it and he called me and said, "You need to try one of our machines or test drive one before you buy that machine. That's all I ask from you." So I thought, well, I'll give him a courtesy and I'll drive one of his machines. I would sure hate to go back and do it the other way. We won't even go to the pull-type sprayer because there's no comparison. You really can't compare them. I mean, if I had to do all mine with a pull-type sprayer, you could give me the sprayer and I'd hard done. I'd just hard done. I wouldn't go back that route. We got the 90-foot booms. We was running 60 before. I was hesitant about going to the 90s, but I know I wanted them just for the simple fact, less tracks in the field, less crop run over. And once I got to running them with some of the technology we run, OcuBoom, stuff like that, I wouldn't go back. Our OcuBoom, when you're spraying, it paints at, it's painting where you've already sprayed. And if you're coming into a point or whatever, and then you got 7 sections on this 90-foot boom, you're coming in this section, it's cutting off as you're coming up in that wherever you need it. Manually, you couldn't do it. Not trying to watch where you're going, coming up in that point and it's doing it. It don't take long till it pays for itself in chemical savings. You don't have the overlap and all that. Once you go out and you put the perimeter or something around your field, whatever, you can come back to it, or if you run out of spray in the middle of the field or something like that, you can go right back to that spot. You're not hunting for it or whatever. I mean, it'll take you right back to that spot. I don't care if it's a week later. If you got rained out and you couldn't go back to it. Well, if you had foamer out there and you got rained out in the middle of the field, how do you know where you're at or something? Auto steer, I used to think, well, didn't need that. 90 foot, you're judging that boom out there at 90 foot, you're trying to follow foamer or whatever. Hey, in a long day, I can lock that thing on, especially when you're doing straight passes back and forth. I can lock it on there, I'm getting accurate. It's not a lot of overlap, not a lot of skips. You've done a good job of spraying and you're not as fatigued, and it will pay for itself. That's another piece of technology that pays for itself, just by that simple fact of that savings. And as a rule of thumb, when we figured acres, figured chemical, is automatically you figure 10% over, and I felt like that's better than a foamer. I mean, in our area, with the kind of fields and shape and stuff like that, it was costing us probably 10% extra. And if you was pulling a mechanical machine, I would say that would jump maybe to 15 to 18% overlap, running up in points because you can't cut the sections off, or you get out there sometimes you lose your foamer, not really know exactly where you're at or whatever if you're not following rows. These machines here with the technology and stuff the way we have them set up, hey, we're usually not 2% off. You take that 8 to 10% savings on chemical and stuff on 6,000 acres. And that's, it don't take long to figure out that technology. That's cheap, and this machine too. I mean, they go hand in hand, the machine and the technology. It takes both of them. A normal day, we can spray 400 acres, but what you gotta realize, our fields are smaller than average, so we lose time there. I have a 750-gallon tank on this. I can just go to it and back and whatever I need to do with this machine a lot better than I can with a tractor and a pull-type sprayer. And it running 30 miles an hour, I mean, I don't think nothing about running 2 miles, 3 miles down the road. And if you need to go 10 miles down the road, I wouldn't think too much about it. Before I got this one, I thought, well, I don't know what, I'd want that speed or whatever, but after I've run it, I love that part of it. Because we can get to where we go with these small fields. If you got a lot of small fields or farms, different farms to go to, you can get there efficiently. The other sprayer I had was a smaller sprayer. You pulled it, you hooked it, hit a tow hitch and pulled it. And I was hesitant about this sprayer because I thought, well, with that tow hitch, I took my water and everything with me, went right there. I thought, well, this will be a lot slower, but it didn't because, just because of the speed that you're going on the road once you get used to it. I just like it. I don't think no more about driving this machine one farm to another than you do getting in your car driving to town. And you can see how this machine really well. I like that part. You can ride it all day, and we do generally when we really get to spraying, and like this year where we had so much rain and stuff, we sprayed longer hours than we like, but the machine's stable on the ground. I like that 120-inch wheelbase. I mean, that stabilizes the machine. With the 90-foot booms compared to the 60 we was running before, the booms don't flop as much. Sure, we get them in the ground. I mean, you got 90-foot booms out there. On some of our rolling ground, they're gonna touch every once in a while. But the breakaway system, everything they have on these machines, I really like them. I mean, I can tell they protect your booms and your nozzles, and really hadn't been an issue. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. As far as small stuff, I can tell they're simple to work on. And it's been little stuff that we've had wrong with it off and on, which you typically have with any machine. But as far as anything major, I mean, we haven't run into anything like that. One thing that I like about that, I could call my dealer or my salesman, and they're good about, hey, getting me going again. We may have 5 pretty days, but there may only be 2 of those days suitable to spray. So when we need to be spraying, we can't be broke down. But if we do, I know it can break down or whatever, but I want to get back running quick as I can. That is one of the main reasons I purchased this machine, because I know when I was broke down and I make that phone call, them guys are going to try to get me back going. And I don't think it's going to be 2 or 3 days, unless it's something major. But on something small, I don't want to be broke down that long because I don't have that many days to spray. And the other machine, I thought about that too, and I realized that they don't keep the parts like they need to for the machines. So, that sure they'll get them here, but you might get them in one day, but if you don't, there's 2 days you're down. When I call my dealership or whatever, their support staff or whatever, hey, they usually get it figured out. I really haven't had that kind of trouble. Bottom line is, when you spray, these machines have got to pay for themselves. I mean, they got to pay their way, and I understand that. This is a good machine. I couldn't ask for no better.